All right, let's talk a little bit about independence. Now, before we get into this, just a reminder that independence is a word that we all have some kind of context for before coming into this course. And I want to make sure that you take whatever ideas you have about what independence means and just temporarily set them aside and replace them with this. Two events, A and B, are independent if the probability of the intersection of A and B is equal to the probability of A times the probability of B. That is our definition of independence, and we'll develop intuition for it as we go along, but let's just start with an example. All right, so let's say there's a sample space and it consists of 4 outcomes, 0, 1, 2, 3. All right, and let's assign probabilities to these outcomes, which we're allowed to do because it's a finite sample space. So I'm just going to choose the probability of 0 to be 2/9, the probability of 1 to be 1/9, the probability of 2 to be 4/9, and finally I need the probabilities to add up to 1, so I'm just going to assign the remaining probability of 2/9 to the event that 3 occurs. All right, and let's draw these on a sample space. I'm going to draw a rectangle for my whole sample space, and then I'm going to use dots to represent each possible outcome. Okay, so I'm going to have 0 and 1 and 2 and 3. And now let's group these into events. Okay, so here are 3 events that I might be interested in. So it's A is equal to 0, 1. And so let's draw that with a red oval that catches 0, 1. And B is going to be 2, 3. And so let's again draw a blue oval that catches 2 and 3. And finally, I'm going to have the event C, and C is going to be 1 and 3, and it's going to be a green oval that just goes through both of those points. Okay, now there's nothing interesting about this example in terms of an application, and that's intentional. I don't want you to bring any of your existing biases or intuition about what the word independence means into this example. We're just going to check the mathematical definition. So are A and B independent? Well, before doing the math, I'll just tell you the answer. It'll turn out that the answer is no. Okay? And why is the answer no? Well, let's go and calculate all these terms. The probability of A is the probability of 0 plus the probability of 1, so that's a third. The probability of B is the probability of 2 plus the probability of 3, so that's 4/9 plus 2/9, which is 2/3. And they do not intersect on any shared point, so the probability of their intersection is 0. So when I go and calculate the probability of the intersection, I find it's not equal to the probability of the product of A times the probability of B, right? And so they're not independent. But looking at this picture, I can see that they are mutually exclusive because they don't overlap. And this is our first hint that these two concepts, independence and mutual exclusivity, are not the same. Okay, let's do one more example where the answer will turn out to be yes. So are A and C independent? And again, just for the sake of this example, this is carefully designed, so the answer is yes. So what's the probability of C? It's the probability of 1 plus the probability of 3, so 1/9 plus 2/9 is a third. And the probability of A intersect C is just the probability of seeing 1, because that's the shared outcome, and that's 1/9. And so the probability of A intersect C turns out to be a third times a third, which is the probability of A times the probability of C. And so then they are independent. And I also note that they do overlap, and therefore they are not mutually exclusive. Another hint. And in fact, this is a general phenomenon. So in general, I can tell you that independence, the mathematical concept within the context of probability, is not the same as mutually exclusive. Okay, and let's see why. So if A and B are mutually exclusive, that means that their intersection is empty. So the probability of the intersection is the probability of the empty set, which is 0. Therefore, they are only independent in the case where either probability of A is 0 or probability of B is 0, and that's not very interesting. Okay, so basically, if they're mutually exclusive, this independence definition is only active if one of these events basically does not occur. All right, so what can we take away from this as intuition in any case? So we want some kind of thing to hold on to think about this, and let's look at it from the conditional probability perspective. So if the probability of B is greater than 0, then the concept A and B are independent turns out to be equivalent to the mathematical statement that probability of A given B is the probability of A. Okay, let's quickly unpack this. Remember that the definition of the probability of A given B is the probability of the intersection of A and B over the probability of B. And so if they're independent, the intersection factors, and then the probability of B is canceled, and I'm left with just the probability of A. Okay, and same thing, if the probability of A is positive, then the claim that A and B are independent is equivalent to saying that the probability of B given A is equal to the probability of B. And intuitively, what these two things are telling us is that if A and B are independent, then knowing that A occurs does not help us determine or predict whether B occurs and vice versa, meaning that our belief as to whether B occurred or our probability that it might occur is not updated by the knowledge that the other event has occurred, right? So if B occurs, it doesn't change the probability that A might or might not occur. And then you can see that through this conditional probability relationship. All right, well, let's go from 2 events on to 3 or more events. So let's say I have A1, A2 up to AN. I'm going to call those independent, and maybe I'll call it mutually independent, but usually I'll just say independent. And I'll say that if all collections of n-1 events chosen from A1, A2 up to AN are mutually independent or just independent, and for the n terms, the probability of the intersection is equal to the probability of their product. So probability of A1 times probability of A2 times probability of AN, right? And okay, so this is a little bit recursive. So let's open it up for 3 events just to see what's going on. So A1, A2, and A3. Okay, so those are going to be our events, and they're going to be independent according to this definition if A1 and A2 are independent. So that's my first choice of 2 events chosen from A1, A2, A3. And that independence definition is just that the probability of the intersection of A1, A2 is equal to the probability of their product. And I have to work out the same condition for every possible choice of 2 events or pairs. So A1, A3 are independent if the probability of A1 intersect A3 is equal to the product, and A2, A3 are independent if the probability of A2 intersect A3 is equal to the probability of their product. And finally, this last condition is on the triple, and it's the probability of the intersection of A1, A2, A3 is equal to the product of the probability of A1 times the probability of A2 times the probability of A3. Okay, so this is a little bit more involved. So for 2 events, I just had to check 1 intersection, but now for 3, there are 4 separate conditions I have to check, and this expands dramatically as the number of events grows. Okay, so this is something that I need to worry about a little bit, in that maybe I have to do a lot of computation, right? But let's put that aside for a second and just go on to work out an example to see what this means. So in my example, I'm going to have an experiment which is just flipping a coin twice. Okay, so my sample space is either going to be that it's heads, 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 tails, tails, heads, or tails, tails. And I'm going to assume that every outcome is equally likely because it's a fair coin, right? So here are some events, and this time we're going to have a little more intuition for these events. So the first event, A, is going to be that the first flip ends up being heads. And so that contains heads, heads, and heads, tails. The second event is that the second flip is heads. So if I look at my sample space, that's going to consist of heads, heads, and tails, heads. And C, my last event, is going to be that the first and second flips are different. And so looking at the sample space, that occurs if I see heads, tails, or tails, heads. Okay, so what are the probabilities of these events? So the probability of A is just the probability of these 2 outcomes in A, and since they're equally likely, they each have a probability of a fourth, so it's a fourth plus a fourth, which is a half. And this is the same for every event. Probability of B, there are 2 outcomes, so a fourth plus a fourth is a half. Probability of C, there are 2 outcomes, a fourth plus a fourth is a half. What about the probability of A intersect B? Well, let's just take a moment and look at A and B and notice that they both just share heads, heads as an outcome. So there's just 1 outcome, so the probability of the intersection is 1/4. What about the intersection of A and C? Well, looking at A and C, the shared outcome there is heads, tails, which is just 1 outcome, so it's a fourth again. And what about B and C? Well, B and C share tails, heads, again, 1/4 probability. Okay, so now we can go and verify that the probability of A intersect B is equal to the probability of A times probability of B, because a fourth is a half times a half. So A and B are independent. right? So we verified that the pair of events A and B is independent. Same for A and C. I multiply their individual probabilities, a half times a half, I get a fourth. So I check that A and C are indeed independent. And finally, I'm going to go for B and C. So intersection of B and C equals the probability of B times the probability of C, and therefore B and C are independent events. Now, what about the triple? So now I want to take 3 events. So I've checked these pairwise conditions, but what about the condition on all 3 events? That's going to be that the probability of A intersect B intersect C. And what is that? Well, look at A and B. The only thing they share is heads, heads, and that does not appear in C, so their intersection is empty. The probability of the empty set is 0. And that's not equal to the product of a half times a half times a half. So A, B, and C are not independent. Okay, so I checked all of these conditions carefully, and one of them didn't hold. So I checked all 4 conditions I had on the previous slide. One of them doesn't hold, so they're not independent. And intuitively, the reason what I can take away from this is that any 2 events that I pick up can be used to improve our prediction of the other event. That's how I can intuit what's going on, that any pair here was independent, but when I look at 2 events versus another event, I could improve my prediction. Okay, let's pick up one of these, or one pair, just to see that that's true. Okay, let's say I tell you that the first flip is heads, so A occurs, and the second flip is heads, so B occurs. Now I know that it's heads, heads, and therefore C cannot occur because the first and second flips are the same. So in that case, I could predict C knowing something about A and B. Whereas if I only knew A, that the first flip is heads, then on the second flip, it could either be heads or tails. And so it's 50-50, and then those events are still going to be independent. So knowledge of one event wasn't helping me. So this is actually, something that does turn up from time to time, that you find that you end up with 3 or more events, A1, A2, up to AN, and they're pairwise independent. So if you go and check the probability condition on every pair, AI intersect AJ, you find that it's the probability of AI times the probability of AJ, and that holds for every case where I is not equal to J. And that happened in the previous example. Okay, this does happen from time to time, but in the previous example, that didn't mean that the triple of events, so A, B, and C, were independent. The intuition that I take away from this is that any one event occurring does not help me predict any other event, but it doesn't mean that groups of events can't help me predict groups of events. And in general, as we've kind of seen just with 3 events, independence is very tedious to check, but what's nice about it is that if I can assume independence as a modeling assumption, right? So if I can say, oh, it makes sense that these are independent, then I get a lot of relationships between events for free. So in a communication channel where I have some kind of noise, it makes sense to assume that the noise is independent of the message that I'm sending. All right, and just to make that a little bit more concrete, let's say you're asking your friend whether or not they want to join you for dinner, and your friend wants to respond yes. It's not as if the environmental noise is conspiring to change that yes into a no and then make you sad, right? So, maybe there is a little bit of environmental noise, but it doesn't know what you're trying to tell your friend and then trying to ruin that, right? So it is just independent noise in the environment. Another example could be that you have component failures. So let's say you have a car or an aircraft or some kind of vehicle, and component failures might be highly dependent within a vehicle. So maybe there's strain on those components, and as one fails, the other one might fail. But if I'm just looking at the failure times across vehicles, those might be independent because the wear and tear on those vehicles just happens to be different. Okay, so that's independence. The thing, as just a quick analogy to make this a little bit more clear. So let's say you have 2 people who don't like each other very much, and the way that they behave is they always do the opposite of one another. So that's kind of like mutual exclusivity, but it's not independence, because now that I know that one person listens to a certain kind of music, I know that the other person does not listen to that kind of music. Independent means that the actions of one of these people doesn't help you predict the actions of the other one. So if one person listens to music, the other one might be listening to that music or might not. It just doesn't matter. So the knowledge of one of these people doesn't help you predict the other. So that's kind of just a little anecdote to keep in mind to help you remember. So 2 events, A and B, are conditionally independent. This is a different concept. Given the event C, if probability of A intersect with B given C is the probability of A given C times the probability of B given C. And this is not the same as independence. In fact, independence does not imply conditional independence in general. They could both hold, but they don't imply one another. Conditional independence does not imply independence. What's the intuition here? So let's say that I know that C occurs. So given that C occurs, A does not tell us anything additional about whether B occurs that we didn't already get from C, okay? And vice versa, B doesn't tell us anything additional about A. Okay, so going through this from a conditional probability perspective, so if probability of B intersect C is greater than 0, A and B are conditionally independent given C is equivalent to saying that the probability of A given B intersect C, right? So knowing that both B and C occur is the same as the probability of A given C. So knowing B on top of C is not useful. It doesn't help in any way. Same thing if I have probability of A intersect C, which is greater than 0. And by the way, the only reason I impose those conditions is just so that the conditional probability is defined. So A and B are conditionally independent given C. That's equivalent to saying that the probability of B given A intersect C is equal to the probability of B given C. Let's go back to our example. Okay, same example, same events. So let's work out the conditional independence. So probability of A intersect B given C is the probability of A intersect B intersect C divided by the probability of C. And that's just the definition of conditional probability. And let's look at A, B, and C and remember that they don't share any outcomes in common. Therefore, their intersection is the empty set. So I have probability of empty set over the probability of C, and that's just 0. Okay. What's the probability of A given C? Well, that's the probability of A intersect C divided by the probability of C, definition of conditional probability, and that's a fourth times, or sorry, divided by a half. And we worked both of those terms out individually on the, or in the beginning of this example on the previous slides. And that's a half. And same thing for probability of B given C, it's just the probability of B intersect C divided by the probability of B. And we get that, sorry, divided by the probability of C. And we get that just from the definition of conditional probability. And again, we get a half. But combining all these terms, I see that the probability of A intersect B given C is not equal to the probability of A given C times probability of B given C. And so A and B are not conditionally independent given C. Okay, so that is just a mathematical check that that's true. And let's kind of work out a little bit of intuition here. So remember, even though A and B are independent, which we saw when we were calculating on the previous slide, they've become conditionally dependent given C. And intuitively what's happened is knowing whether the flips differ, which is the event C, lets us predict one flip using the other flip. So if I tell you C occurs, then if I tell you A has occurred, then you know that B does not occur because the flips are different and the first flip is heads. So then the second flip cannot be heads. All right. So even though the first and second flip being heads is an independent event, knowing something that kind of couples them together, which is C, makes them conditionally dependent. All right. So that's why independence is not the same as conditional independence. So now 3 or more events, A1, A2 up to AN, are conditionally independent given B if any collection of n-1 events from A1, A2 up to AN is conditionally independent given B, and the probability of the intersection of A1, A2 up to AN given B is the probability of A1 times B given B times the probability of A2 given B times the probability of AN given B, right? So just the same recursive definition, but now I've modified it to conditional independence. So when I try to go from 2 events to n events, I have the same kind of recursion. And the last thing I want you to remember is independence is preserved under complements. So if A and B are independent, then so are A and B complement, A complement and B, and B A complement and B complement, right? So because knowing whether a complement occurs is the same as knowing whether the same event occurs, right? So if I tell you B does not occur, then you already know whether B occurs. Okay, and that is it.